Clark from way outside, drops a three! Pick her up here. He's not been afraid to let it fly from out there. Clark just spins off of Broshan. Phoenix, and it turned into buckets. Clark, oh yeah!
Here we go!
Picture this, it's June 22nd in Indianapolis. The Gainbridge Fieldhouse is packed to capacity with thousands of passionate Fever fans ready for what they thought would be a statement victory. Instead, within the first 10 minutes of play, their team is getting absolutely demolished on their home court, down by 16 points, at home, against a Phoenix Mercury squad that came in with bad intentions written all over their faces. The scoreboard reads 6-19. The crowd is restless. The energy that usually crackles through Gainbridge is deflating like a balloon with a slow leak. Phoenix looks unstoppable. Indiana looks completely out of sync. Everything suggests this game is over before halftime, but then something magical happens. And what unfolds over the next 30 minutes of basketball becomes one of the most dramatic, fiery, and emotionally charged comebacks you will witness all season. This isn't just a game. This is a street fight. This is basketball at its most primal. This is KAHLEAH Clark saying absolutely not to defeat, her teammates answering the call, the crowd becoming a living force, and ultimately the Indiana Fever storming back to win 86-77 in a way that will be remembered and replayed for years to come. Let's rewind to the beginning of this June 22nd matchup to understand just what we're dealing with. The Indiana Fever came into this game with serious momentum. They had been on a winning streak, dispatching quality opponents like Connecticut, Toronto, and Chicago. This was a team playing coherent basketball, moving the ball, executing on both ends of the floor. And at the center of it all was KAHLEAH Clark, the rookie sensation who has captivated the entire WNBA with her unprecedented shooting range and playmaking ability. The crowd expected dominance. The fans expected their team to show the city of Indianapolis what a rising championship contender looks like. On the other side, the Phoenix Mercury arrived in town with something entirely different on their minds. This wasn't a team coming to play pretty basketball and see what happens. This was a team coming to impose.
Indiana has numbers. Clark launch ahead, and Hall hits a three!
Impose their will. The Mercury brought weapons designed to create havoc in the paint and wear down opponents through physicality. KAHLEAH Copper, one of the most dangerous guards in the entire league, was their primary offensive engine. Copper can create offense in ways that make defenders look foolish. She's quick, she's crafty, and she's one of the most clutch performers in women's basketball. The Mercury knew that if Copper got hot, Indiana's perimeter defense would be tested severely. Then there was ALYSSA Thomas, the absolute bulldozer in the paint. Thomas plays a brand of basketball that is simply physical. She doesn't ask permission to be in the paint. She takes what she wants through sheer force and will. She was going to make life absolutely miserable for Indiana's front court all night long. And perhaps most importantly, there was DeWanna, the veteran campaigner who has been in the league for 14 years and knows every trick, every angle, every way to bend rules without technically breaking them. Bonner doesn't come to games trying to be friends. She comes to games trying to win by any means necessary. The stage was set for something special. Nobody, absolutely nobody, could have predicted just how wild, how physical, and how controversial this game would become. The opening tip comes down and immediately you can feel the difference in intensity. This isn't the controlled, methodical Indiana Fever basketball everyone had come to know. From the very first possession, Phoenix comes out with an agenda. They're attacking. They're physical. They're moving with purpose. KAHLEAH Copper explodes onto the scene, attacking the paint on virtually every Phoenix possession. She's not settling for outside shots. She's driving with aggression, forcing Indiana's defenders to either foul or give up easy buckets at the rim. Copper is absolutely relentless in those opening minutes, and ALYSSA Thomas is doing exactly what she was brought in to do. She's bodying every single Indiana defender she comes into contact with. She's winning the 50-50 balls that litter every basketball game. She's finishing with authority whenever she gets the ball within 10 feet of the hoop. Thomas is dominant in the opening quarter. Phoenix's game plan is working to perfection. They establish a lead, then they extend it. By the time the first quarter clock winds down and mercifully comes to an end, the scoreboard tells a shocking story: Indiana 6, Phoenix 19. Let me repeat that number because it's absolutely crucial to understanding what happens next. Indiana has scored 6 points. Phoenix has scored 19. That's a 13-point lead after just 10 minutes of basketball. And here's the thing that makes it even worse for the Fever. During that first quarter, Phoenix went on a 19-3 run to start the game. At one point, Indiana had managed to score just 3 points while Phoenix had dropped 19. 3 points to 19. That gap looked absolutely insurmountable. The Gainbridge Fieldhouse, which moments before was electric with anticipation, is now subdued. The crowd is still, waiting to see what happens next. Thousands of Fever fans are beginning to wonder if this could be one of those nights where nothing goes right, where the other team just comes in and dominates your home court. But look at the Fever bench. Look at who is standing there, clapping her hands together, pulling her teammates together, communicating, directing, keeping everyone's head in the game. Number 22, KAHLEAH Clark. She's not panicking. She's not looking at the scoreboard and hanging her head in defeat. She's doing the one thing that separates great players from good players. She's keeping her team alive when the game is slipping away. If the first quarter belonged to Phoenix Mercury, then the second quarter belongs entirely to one person and one person only, KAHLEAH Clark. What unfolds in those 10 minutes is nothing short of extraordinary. Indiana outscores Phoenix 35-22 in the second quarter alone. That's 35 points in 10 minutes. That's completely dominant basketball. And it's almost entirely driven by number 22 going into full superstar mode. By the time the half ends, KAHLEAH Clark will finish with 24 points on the night. She'll shoot nearly 47% from the field. She'll record 9 assists with only 3 turnovers. She'll make 3 three-pointers. She'll dominate the paint with 71.4% shooting on 2-point attempts. But these are just numbers. Numbers don't capture what she's actually doing on the court. Numbers don't tell the story of how she single-handedly takes over this game and pulls her team back into it. Let's break down exactly what KAHLEAH Clark is doing in this second quarter, because it's not just about scoring points. It's about everything. Clark is stepping way back. We're not talking about standard three-pointers here. We're talking logo territory. We're talking disrespect range. We're talking about shots that would draw laughs from casual fans if they were coming from anyone else. But when KAHLEAH lets it fly from 28, 29, 30 feet away, you find yourself holding your breath, because the arc on the shot is perfect. The release is pure, and the ball is going in. Every single time the Phoenix defense sags off of her, thinking they can dare her to shoot from distance, KAHLEAH makes them pay. Splash. Another 3. Every time a defender is a half step late closing out, assuming she'll pass the ball, she pulls the trigger. Splash. Another one. It's like watching an artist paint. Each three-pointer is another stroke on the canvas. These aren't just points. These are daggers. These are momentum shifts. These are Phoenix's confidence slowly draining away with each successful shot from impossible distance. But here's what makes KAHLEAH's performance even more special. People talk about her shooting, and rightfully so, because the woman can absolutely launch it from anywhere. But what she's doing in the paint during this game deserves its own highlight reel. Because she's not just a shooter. She's not just a playmaker. She's a complete basketball player. Her 2-point shooting efficiency sits at 71.4% for the night. She's 5 for 7 on 2-point attempts. That's not a typo. That's elite finishing. She's using her body in ways that create space where space shouldn't exist. She's implementing the Euro step move that European players have perfected, creating angles that confuse defenders and get her to the rim. She's finishing through contact, taking fouls and still putting the ball in the basket. The girl simply gets buckets. She's not dunking on people. She's not just taking power moves. She's using craftiness, footwork, and basketball intelligence to find ways to score when defenders are in her face. And then there are the 9 assists. 9 passes that lead directly to made baskets. Only 3 turnovers all game long. That's a 3-to-1 assist to turnover ratio, which is the mark of a true floor general, a true conductor of the offense. But these aren't simple drop-offs to cutters where the assist giver is really just handing off the ball to someone who's already open. These are intricate, vision-driven passes. Skip passes thrown across the entire court, finding shooters in rhythm before defenders can even react. Post feeds delivered at exactly the right moment so the big gets the ball in a scoring position. Pocket passes placed right into the hands of teammates in their sweet spot, where they're ready to go immediately. Clark is essentially playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. She's seeing the floor in ways that allow her teammates to succeed. And as a result, the entire Indiana offense is coming alive. Kelsey Mitchell catches fire, feeding off Clark's energy and confidence. Monique Billings is crashing the offensive glass and finishing around the rim with ferocity. The Fever are running fast basketball. They're moving the ball with purpose. They're making the right plays. This is Indiana basketball the way it's meant to be played. By the time the halftime buzzer sounds, Indiana has gone from down 13 to actually leading. The entire momentum of the game has shifted on the back of a single quarter where KAHLEAH Clark played like a woman possessed. The Gainbridge Fieldhouse crowd, which was subdued and worried just 10 minutes earlier, is now absolutely electric. The energy is back. The belief is back. The Fever have a pulse. Now we need to talk about what had the entire internet losing its collective mind, because this game wasn't just about basketball. This game had drama, controversy, and moments that would have lasting implications. This game was called with 5 technical fouls. 5 technical fouls in a WNBA regular season game. Let that sink in for a moment. 5. That statistic alone tells you everything you need to know about the temperature on that floor. This was hot. This was physical. This was tense in ways that regular season games typically aren't. The Phoenix Mercury, having watched their 16-point lead completely evaporate, are frustrated. Veterans in the Mercury locker room don't like seeing momentum shifts like this. They don't like watching their team get outplayed in front of thousands of screaming opposing fans. And they certainly don't like watching Caitlin Clark absolutely cooking against them. DeWanna, the 14-year WNBA veteran who absolutely knows better, who has been in this league long enough to understand the rules and the expectations, is getting increasingly frustrated as Indiana's comeback takes shape. The crowd is turning on her. The momentum is completely against her team, and Clark is the primary reason why. Then it happens. In a moment that would become the most talked about sequence of the entire game, Bonner goes over Caitlin Clark. It starts with what appears to be a stomp. Contact with her foot. Whether it's deliberate or not is debatable, but it's physical and it's ugly. The crowd reacts. Something is wrong, and then the elbow comes, a shot that catches Clark. A visible shockwave runs through the entire arena. Everyone holds their breath. This is the kind of contact that could be genuinely dangerous. This is the kind of play that doesn't belong in basketball. The crowd is looking at the referees. Everyone in the building is looking at the referees. And then the referees make a call that might be the most baffling whistle of the entire 2024 WNBA season. They call the foul on Caitlin Clark, on Caitlin, the woman who was just stomped and elbowed by Bonner. The referees call the foul on her. The Fever bench absolutely erupts. The crowd absolutely erupts. The entire building is in chaos. Every single person knows that call is wrong. There is no logical interpretation of what just happened that results in the foul being on Clark. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Sophie Cunningham, Caitlin Clark's teammate, comes off that bench, and Sophie Cunningham is done talking. She gets directly into DeWanna Bonner's face. We're talking nose to nose. We're talking warrior mode, finger pointed, eyes locked. The body language is unmistakable. Don't touch my teammate. Don't you dare touch my teammate. This is the code of basketball. You mess with one, you answer to all. Sophie Cunningham wears the technical foul that gets called on her like a badge of honor. She did what her teammate needed her to do. She stood up. She showed loyalty. She showed that this team is a family and you don't disrespect family without consequences. And then something magical happens. The Gainbridge Fieldhouse crowd, which has been building all night, which has been slowly getting more and more energized with each Caitlin Clark three-pointer, each Indiana bucket, unleashes completely. DeWanna Bonner steps to the free throw line and 17,000 Fever fans boo. Not politely, not quietly. They boo with everything they have. They boo with pure, sustained, fierce Indiana basketball fury. And in what feels like a moment of basketball justice delivered by the crowd itself, DeWanna Bonner misses the free throw. The building absolutely loses it. The crowd has spoken. The collective force of thousands of fans has somehow willed the basketball to not go in the basket. This is why home court matters. This is why it's different to play in front of your own crowd. This is why Caitlin Clark fans are something special. This is why Gainbridge Fieldhouse has become one of the most electric arenas in all of women's basketball. If there was any possibility that Phoenix could recover from that second quarter onslaught, any chance they could weather the storm of emotion and Caitlin Clark's brilliance, the third quarter destroys it completely and utterly. Indiana outscores Phoenix 30-11 in the third quarter, 30 points to 11. That's a 19-point quarter. That's complete and total dominance. Indiana's defense in this stretch is something that deserves to be studied. It's suffocating. It's intelligent. It's physical. The Fever are pressuring the ball at the point of attack, clogging passing lanes before passes are even thrown, forcing difficult shots with hands in faces and bodies in space. Phoenix's offense goes nearly silent. 11 points for an entire quarter. That's not enough to win basketball games. Meanwhile, Indiana continues to make shot after shot on the offensive end. The Fever are playing like they have something to prove. They're playing like they want to send a message to everyone watching. They're playing like a team that refuses to lose. Monique Billings becomes an absolute force in this stretch. She's everywhere on the floor. She's crashing the offensive glass and grabbing rebounds over bigger players. She's putting back misses with authority. She's converting free throws. She's creating second-chance opportunities that keep the Phoenix defense scrambling and reacting instead of being proactive. Billings finishes the game with a double-double, 14 points and 10 rebounds. And here's the crazy part. She's shooting a perfect 100% from the field, 4 for 4. She doesn't miss a single shot all game. Her plus 15 rating is the best on the Indiana team. She's the most positive player on the floor from a pure impact perspective. Kelsey Mitchell is doing her thing, being slippery and explosive, impossible for any Phoenix guard to stay in front of. Mitchell is going to finish with 22 points on 8 for 20 shooting with 3 three-pointers of her own. She and Clark work beautifully in pick-and-roll situations throughout the second half. And when Phoenix tries to sag off of Clark to contain her shooting, Mitchell is absolutely punishing them off the bounce without mercy. The Indiana lead continues to balloon. Remember, Phoenix's biggest lead of this entire game came in the first quarter at 16 points. Well, by the end of the third quarter, Indiana's biggest lead of the game has reached 21 points. The game has been completely flipped upside down. Phoenix is no longer playing for a win. Phoenix is simply trying to survive and make the game look respectable by the time the final buzzer sounds. The fourth quarter sees Phoenix outscore Indiana 25-15. Now, someone might look at that score and raise an eyebrow. It might seem like Phoenix made a late push. But let's be very clear about something. The game was already completely won. Indiana was in cruise control. They were managing the clock. They were picking their spots. They were not extending themselves. This was a team that knew they had the game in hand and was simply running out the clock until victory was official. ALYSSA Thomas, the Phoenix bulldozer, does deserve real credit for her performance. She finishes with 19 points, 9 assists, and 5 rebounds. She was genuinely dominant around the rim all night long, going 8 for 12 from the field. On a different night with different circumstances, that performance from Thomas could lead Phoenix to a win. She's an elite player, and she showed it. KAHLEAH COPPER also shows her quality with 20 points, though she fouled out late in the game with her 6th personal foul, putting her on the bench when Phoenix needed her the most. That's the kind of detail that matters in close games, but this game wasn't close by the time Copper fouled out. But all the individual Phoenix performances in the world couldn't erase what Indiana had built through 3 magnificent quarters of basketball. The deficit was too large. The momentum was too much. The fever had too much. The final score is Indiana 86, Phoenix 77. A 9-point victory that barely captures the reality of how thoroughly Indiana dominated this game. Caitlin Clark led the way with a complete star performance. She finished with 24 points, 9 assists, and 3 rebounds while shooting nearly 47% from the field. She made 3 three-pointers. She went 5-6 from the free throw line. Her plus 13 rating was excellent, but more than just the statistics, she did all of this while her team was down by 16 points at one stage. That is exactly what franchise players do. That's what separates good players from great players. They keep their team alive when the game is slipping away. They take over when everything is on the line. Kelsey Mitchell was the perfect second option, scoring 22 points and hitting 3 three-pointers. With defenses focused on making life difficult for Clark, Mitchell continued attacking aggressively and gave the Phoenix defense yet another problem to solve. Mitchell was efficient, explosive, and effective. Monique Billings was the difference maker. A double-double with 14 points and 10 rebounds, shooting a perfect 4 for 4 from the field. Her 6 offensive rebounds created extra chances all night long. Her presence on both ends of the floor was felt consistently. As a team, Indiana completely flipped this game. They dominated the second quarter 35-22. They exploded in the third quarter 30-11. They controlled the glass with 12 offensive rebounds, creating more chances than Phoenix could handle. They scored 19 points off turnovers, turning Phoenix mistakes into Indiana buckets. They never stopped fighting, never stopped competing, never stopped believing that they could win even when the odds seemed stacked against them. The game was filled with 5 technical fouls and emotional moments that will be replayed for years. Phoenix had a 16-point lead early. Indiana responded with a 21-point lead later. That's a 37-point swing. That's complete and total momentum reversal. This game represents more than just a win. It's a statement. It's the Indiana Fever saying to the entire WNBA that they are not a team you can bully. They are not a team you can take home court advantage against and expect to run away with the game. They are a team with character, with depth, with the kind of championship DNA that requires multiple comebacks throughout a season. It's a statement from Caitlin Clark saying that she is here to stay. She is not a one-dimensional player. She is not just a shooter. She is a complete basketball player who can take over games in multiple ways. She can shoot it from 35 feet. She can finish in traffic. She can run the offense. She can make her teammates better. She is a franchise player, and franchise players come through in the biggest moments. It's a statement from Sophie Cunningham that this is a team that has each other's backs. Loyalty matters. Standing up for your teammates matters. Being willing to take a technical foul to protect your sister on the court matters. It's a statement from Gainbridge Fieldhouse that home court advantage is real. That 17,000 passionate fans can create an environment where visiting teams can't operate at their highest level. That the crowd can will a free throw to miss through sheer force of will. Folks, if you watched this game live in person, you already know you were there for something special. You were there for a moment in basketball history. You witnessed greatness. You witnessed a team refuse to quit. You witnessed a star player take over a game when her team needed her most. If you didn't watch this game live, well, now you have absolutely zero excuse to not be familiar with it. This is the entire 2024 Fever season encapsulated in a single game. Down 16 early at home, completely out of sync, looking like a team that might get blown out on their home court. But then Caitlin Clark says, not today. Sophie Cunningham goes to war for her teammate. Gainbridge Fieldhouse becomes a cauldron of noise and fury. And the Indiana Fever walk away with an 86-77 victory that nobody who watched it will ever forget. This Fever team is real. They are tough. They have resilience. They have a franchise player who can take over games. They have teammates who will fight for each other. And they're coming for everything in the WNBA. This game proved it beyond any doubt. This team is the future, and that future is now.